So today we continue on an adventure to try out the new cards that were added in for the new expansion, and today we're playing some Portal because I thought the new artifact stuff looked kind of cool, and I do like my mid-range deck, so yeah, that's the one we're going with today. So let's look at the deck list we're playing for today first. So this is the list we're playing for today. I just crammed a bunch of the new cards into like a sort of like good stuff Portal deck, I guess. So we have Scarlet, who can AoE for however many artifacts have entered, different allied artifacts have entered the field this match. Then we have the Mew here for a nice bit of storm, as well as a swinging board with her effective ping tree whenever an allied artifact enters the board. Then we have Brazen Broadcaster, just another like sort of Zwei-like card where you just enhance it for 5 and it's quite strong. And it also comes with a bunch of artifacts as well, so that's pretty nice. And we also have a cool career as a replacement for a Marionette Lancer, I guess. It helps you contribute to your artifact count, so that's nice. And then free running as well, helps you get artifacts. And then you have Isaac as your other artifact generator. He's just a decent 2/2 body, gives you a striker artifact. You can also do weird things like if the game drags on long enough, you can feed striker artifact your free running artifacts, and you can make beta, and then you can pair beta with Mew for a nice bit of damage as well if the game drags on. And then other than that, we just the old stuff that we're pretty used to. Capitalises, standard value card. Mirrored Designs, also another value card. I'm feeling OX, pretty just solid board clear while getting Evo count. And then Imari plus Sincerity, especially right now when Intimidate is quite popular for both Abyss and a Dragon. I think having the Sincerity is quite nice. And then World of Games for card draw, because this deck doesn't have card draw otherwise. So yeah, this is the list we're playing for today. I have Xenophon as a finisher as well. At some point I was trying out a York Zenta package in this deck to see if I could cheese games with cloning Scarlet, but it didn't really work out too well, so ended up cutting that. But you can try it if you want as well. So yeah, this is the list we're playing for today. Let's look at some games. So our first match here is against Dragon, and we are going second. For the Mulligan, I like to keep early game followers, Brazen Broadcaster and Zwei if I have early game followers, and then I also like to keep World of Games because it's the only source of card draw in this deck, so having it is pretty valuable. Early game is quite straightforward. We just want to play followers and contest board and sort of like pressure my opponent and try to chip damage so we can look to finish in the late game. The opponent will go ahead and ramp here and trade, so not a great start for me, but I guess it's probably fine. Draw cool career here, we go ahead and just drop it as well as the ancient artifact just to have some board pressure to sort of force answers from them. Try to make it as hard as we can to make them just to allow them to play ramp. The less they ramp, the better it is for us after all. So this turn, nothing really to spend an evil point on with trading with Zwei, plus we don't have Xenophon in hand, so I just go ahead and coin Brazen Broadcaster now. Helps us draw into the deck, gives us a bit of tempo, as well as helps us get the artifact count up. So now we'll drop Jellyfish Dancer here and the Mega Lorca, which they will use to clear my followers. As long as they're not ramping, we're fine relatively. We got another Zwei. We don't really need this many Zwei, so I just go ahead and toss one copy. The reason why I go Imari here is one, to sort of apply pressure with her little buddies, but also to thin my deck out of and draw some of my more valuable spells like the 3-cost X spell and the Mirrored Designs, as well as just like all the other spells in my deck, right? The less spells there are in my deck, the higher chance of me drawing more valuable cards. Opponent evolves here, I'm not sure why. I think they were probably playing Evo, an Evo based deck, and that's why they evolved it for a Skybound art count, but at this point when I was playing I had no idea why they evolved there, so that was something, I guess. So we do keep a buddy, so we want to maintain that pressure. Again, we play Imari and Super Evo here. This is a bit of a risky play maybe to like spend a Super Evo this liberally, especially in a deck where you have both Mew and Camisilla as like Super Evo targets. But for some reason, I decided that I really need to thin my deck out, so I decided to Super Evolve Imari. It guarantees me the free running, which allows me to draw into my deck more. So I think that was the idea. Plus my hand was looking quite bad for the late game at this point, so I think that's what I went for. Also, hopefully it lets me force out their resources in trying to clear my board. No use Fangs of Ardent Destruction and White Frost Whisper here. Unfortunately, relatively low investment clear from them in comparison to me spending my Evo points, so maybe not the best. So now we just keep playing follows to apply board pressure here. Just keep forcing them to spend resources until we can look for a lethal. Against Dragon, I think at some point Evo Dragon got like slightly popular, so right now what I feel like the game plan is to stack up damage in hand and then start spamming them once you stack up enough to overkill them. But if you just do a bit of chip damage and then you wait until your next burst, they'll start healing in between, so I guess this ends up being a more reliable game plan maybe. It's a bit concerning the lack of damage cards we've drawn though, so that's not great for me. Really want to find Camisilla at some point to advance Sandalphon. Draw Imari here. I only have one super Evo point anyway, so like I only really need one copy of Mew probably at most. So we go ahead and use Imari here to clear the followers. Use Sincerity to transform the dragon so that we can trade into it. And draw Artifact as well for some draw. Pick out Camisilla here, which is a bit nice. And then we can use the Ancient to trade here, and then we use Unfeeling LX. We can get more damage out of it by evolving Zwei while we clear the Fast Wing Dragon, so you don't want to take too much damage. Someone's gonna drop Burnite here. And they are going to super evolve the Burnite to start dealing me damage and put me on a clock, which isn't great for me. Especially with a combination with these Fast Wing Dragons coming out. So this turn I felt like was quite difficult. My goal was to look for activating Sandalphon next turn to hopefully finish them off that way. So for that reason I went Camisilla here. Unfortunately I do spend my super Evo point here, which means that Mew becomes sort of a dead card, but yeah, the alternative is I could have saved my super Evo if I played like Striker, Artifact, Trade, and trade everything in or something. But then that will leave Vast Wing Dragon alive. My effective health is at 13 because I'm gonna take a Burnite next turn. But if I let the Vast Wing live and I like trade here something like this, my opponent can just enhance Galamure Evo and then play a Crest Battle and I die. So I don't want to let them. I felt like it was quite important to clear this Vast Wing this turn, so I went with this play to make sure I could clear the Vast Wing by transforming it with Sincerity. Unfortunately, this greatly weakens my Sandalphon turn, but I'm hoping that I can at least, without a super Evo point, they shouldn't be able to clear this board whilst having a strong board of their own, which means that I might be able to get Sandalphon in, and then following turn I can finish with Scarlet is the idea. Here my opponent ends up going for the Dragon Newt Promoter, along for second one, so pretty weak play. A clear from them, I guess. They do manage to clear here, but thankfully we have free reign to just drop Sandalphon here. Well, not really, but we do top that Unfeeling LX, which means that we do have free reign to drop Sandalphon here. I might have been in trouble if I didn't have that. I would have probably used Scarlet. Our next game here is the mirror match. We just tossed everything. Probably shouldn't have kept Zwei here. I should have prioritized looking for early game and Zwei is second priority. Especially since now we also have the broadcaster to play a similar role that she does. It's not as necessary to have her on curve anymore, I don't think. Thankfully though, we do top deck Cruel Courier here, so we will have some curve. My opponent drops Young Zenta, so they are playing a more Evo-oriented list, I guess. Now Isaac here off the top, very nice top deck. We just go ahead and play that. Drop the Ancient Artifact as well, just for a bit of board pressure. My opponent will use that Broadcaster here to clear my Ancient Artifact, which is fine for us. We're gonna go ahead and get an Analyzing Artifact to start drawing into our deck here. Got Sandalphon, which is actually a decent pickup. We can transform the Analyzing here to trade, and then we hit them in the face. Just apply some pressure here with the little buddy. Opponent is going to coin Zwei, classic play from Portal. And this will clear my board with relatively little investment from them, I guess. We are going to answer with a Zwei of our own. Hopefully we can pick up like mirror designs or something next turn to answer the second Zwei. But for now, I guess we'll have to answer next turn when we get to it. So now we just clear that board here and just go ahead and pass. They're gonna drop another Zwei. The classic move of a Portal mirror, Zwei into Zwei into Zwei, and they're gonna evolve their Zwei here as well. And they will sack their enhanced puppet, which is fine, I guess. That cool courier, which is nice. Worst case, we play striker plus unfeeling LX, but since we picked that cool courier here, we can actually hold on to our LX, which is quite nice. So we go ahead and just do that. But coins Camisilla, unfortunately our hand is quite bad right now, so hopefully we can top deck an answer to this Camisilla, or else I'm probably dead. And pick up Zwei off the top, which is quite good here. We managed to answer the Camisilla through it. We evolve the Zwei here. And then use the unfeeling LX. I could have traded Victoria and then Zwei into the ward and the enhanced puppet into the substandard puppet, and that would have saved me from playing my unfeeling LX, so arguably that would have been better. But here I prioritize having multiple bodies on board. Unclear to me if that was the right play. Fortunately, my opponent has a bit of a weak turn here with their Warp Slash. Since this deck doesn't run much healing, we just go ahead and send Mew to their face since we have free reign to do so. We can look to pressure them with Scarlet as well, and then hopefully we can activate Sendophone at some point after that. My opponent is gonna drop their Imari here and super evolve Imari, which will draw spells from their deck. And they will use it to, I guess, just put out a bunch of followers on their board while clearing mine. Analyzing here, they're drawing to their deck. And they have another free running. And they are drawing a lot of cards here. They will trade as well. Mirror design is quite nice to pair with Unfeeling LX for later on, but for now we just go ahead and go Scarlet into their face since we have time. And once again, as I mentioned before, this doesn't really run healing. And most of your Xenophon Invo, or if you tag in Gilnalise maybe, but for the most part, people don't really run Gilnalise in Portal right now. So all the damage to their face sticks, and we can hopefully look for a finish with Xenophon eventually. Fortunately, our Xenophon is not quite active here, so we can go ahead and use Unfeeling LX to finish the activation. And we hold this Imari because right now we can send, as long as we can have Xenophon face, we win. And they don't have Evo points to answer this board with, so they have to invest some resources into it. And we should be able to clear that board next time with Imari as long as we don't top deck Actually, if we don't top deck Sincerity, we should be fine probably. But if we top deck Sincerity, then maybe we'll be in a bit of trouble. As you can see, my spells played 2 Sincerity and 1 free running, so I'm guaranteed both off Imari next turn. And that should hopefully allow me to clear that board, so that is the idea. I'm gonna go Scarlet here, and then they play Ancient Artifact. If they played in the opposite order, they could have full clear my board and send Scarlet face, but it would not have mattered because Imari can just clear Scarlet anyway, so yeah, misplay on my opponent's part, but it doesn't end up mattering. Yeah, they just did the Sendophon here, so that's it for this game. So our last game here is against Abyss, and we are going second. We just look for early game cards. Unfortunately, didn't pick up much of them. Well, hopefully we can draw some things to make do. Unfortunately, we do draw Scarlet here, which isn't really an early game card. But fortunately, it looks like my opponent didn't have any early game cards to work with as well. So we both end up in a passing game. The reason why I didn't play free running into like analyzing or something here is because I wanted to leave the option to get an Ancient Artifact if I should need to next turn. Which I do end up having to do here. There's the Ancient, go ahead and trade. And just pass, can leave them the skeletons, probably fine. And then goes white here with Fickle Necromancer. Take some damage. don't have this board to answer. Thankfully, with the power of Brazen Broadcaster, we can answer this fairly cleanly. Unfortunately, we do miss our chance to coin Myriad Design next turn, but since we drew Zwei here, it's probably fine. And now we go ahead and just evolve Brazen Broadcaster and just clear their followers. Just go ahead and pass here. Olan drops Highwire Feline, very strong card here. And with the power of their Lilith staying on board, they are allowed to leave Highwire Feline at 6-7 full health. The 7 health on this follower is surprisingly strong against like almost all early removal. Gildara doesn't clear this. Gildara doesn't trade well into it because it leaves it alive. Highwire Feline's evolve effect doesn't kill it either, and Zwei doesn't kill it either. So you can see this 7 defense follower actually has a lot of resistance to being clear in the early game if you manage to keep it at full health. So I'm forced to trade the entire Victoria into it to clear it. And my opponent follows up with a second Highwire Feline here. Again, they will do the same thing, just leave it at full 6-7 health. A bit annoying for me, but you know, we can do our best to answer this. Go for Myriad Design here. Play Unfeeling LX. This spot is a bit arguable, I think. There is an so the safest option is to trade the Ludicrous Ordnance into this and then just play the second Unfeeling LX and or just trade. Yeah, trade and then play a second Unfeeling LX, and that guarantees a full clear. But I went for a more risky play and played the Unfeeling LX here instead. There is like a slightly higher than 50% chance, I think, for this to hit favorably. So what needs to happen is either it hits here or it evolves here, and as long as one of these happens, we can clear. So yeah, I'm not sure of the actual odds, but in this case I end up winning out, so that's fine. Even if it missed the absolute worst case, I could just super evo the last remaining one. Although I would prefer not to do that, of course. It's not worse. Or we can just coin Sincerity, and that's also an option. So yeah, there were outs to that risky play, even though in hindsight it was a bit riskier than I probably thought it was at first. My opponent goes and at the Hime here. Thankfully, because of the risky play I made, they're actually forced to spend more resources and not even full clear my board here, which is great for me. I can go ahead and use Mew here. York Zenta as well to pick up the spell while we can. I was running York Zenta at this point. I eventually cut it from the deck, but when I was recording this game, I still had it. So yeah, that's why it's there. We go ahead and evolve Mew here and just punch them in the face. They do have a lot of healing with bats, but if they spend the time... But I don't know how many bat generators they are running right now, so yeah. But then we'll use Double Heart to Night Song here, deal a bunch of damage to my face while clearing my board. But we are just gonna drop Scarlet here. And then we copy the Scarlet. Important point to note here, of course, is that we are not dead to Macmillan because they have no shadows, and even if they had enough shadows, we are still not dead to Macmillan here, so just punch them in the face. Force them to spend their turn healing up if they can. If not, we just hit them with another 2 Scarlets. Opponent use Nehan here. Unfortunately, not enough to heal out of range, so our second Scarlet will finish the game. You can see York Zenta didn't end up doing anything because I just had second Scarlet, but if I didn't have it, then York Zenta would have popped off, I guess. So yeah, that's it for this game. So those are the games I have for you today. Hopefully it gave you some idea of how this deck works and how some of the new cards can or cannot be good. You can see if you look at the games, Mew ends up being like a bit bricky more often than not. Like you can spend an Evo point on her to hit your opponent in the face for 6, but so many decks like just heal that damage off right now, so it's not that effective. Like it just sort of feels like right now Portal doesn't have the sustained damage to make aggressive game plan with stuff like Super Evolving Mew really worth it, I don't think. We can try something with a Blink Dash, the new 2-cost spell, and see if that gets this list somewhere. But for now, this list I was playing for today, it felt okay. It felt like it could use some work, so yeah, I guess you can consider that if you want to play this archetype yourself. Anyway, that's it for today. See you next time. Bye bye.